guys, welcome back to Strong Successful Male. So for today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber, and this is from a guy. He is 64 years old and definitely what I would consider to be a high value guy. He's done very well in life, never been married, good shape, lots of friends, educated, had lots and lots of girlfriends throughout his life, things like that. But you're going to see here, guys, in this guy's email, he's old school. And he's going to share with you a whole bunch of scenarios he went through with different girlfriends and how he handled it compared to how guys typically handle things nowadays, kissing their butt, putting them on a pedestal, enabling bad behavior. This guy, the exact opposite. And you'll see how this guy's had a damn good life. All right? And I'm doing this, guys, because, again, to show you how things were done old school and how things were done before the feminist movement really had its influence on the masses, particularly young men, and then influencing those young men become mature adult men, and how things are handled nowadays. And before things were the way they are now in terms of the feminist movement's influence in the media, TV, movies, radio, you name it, anywhere. And so I'm going to go through this, guys. You're going to see all these different situations with these girlfriends. You're going to get a good laugh. And hopefully this will show some of you guys that do relationships how things should be handled when your girl gets disrespectful and is a big giant pain in the ass. Okay? You don't tolerate bad behavior, and this guy certainly does not. So getting into it, he says, "Hi, SSM. I've been listening for about 6 months to a year now. I'm 64 years old and have never been married. I'm very good looking and I was very athletic in my younger years. I had a good job in a large company and made a good living. I purchased a big house in Toronto in the late 80s and paid it off in 5 years and 3 months. Hey, this guy's way ahead of the times, okay? I mean, back in those days, everybody got married and all that, but nope, not this guy. He definitely saw things probably for how they were, the direction they were going. He says, in my 20s, I only had 2 girlfriends and had some one-nighters. Many times, women would come up to me. In my 30s and 40s, I had several girlfriends, and they all wanted to get married, not me. Notice how he said that in his 30s and 40s, he had several girlfriends. What I tell you about guys' prime being his 30s and 40s, okay? He had some in his 20s, but I'm going to guess this guy probably was more focused on his purpose in obviously school or whatever it was to get him where he wanted to be to do well for himself. He said, you know, a couple girlfriends and some one-nighters. But 30s and 40s is the time when he had lots of girlfriends and they all wanted to get married because that's the time period that they're just dying to get a guy, you know, and this guy's obviously high value trying to get him. Couldn't get him. Now listen to these scenarios he's about to give when the girls start getting difficult. He says, I think it's best to date a woman for a year or more because her true personality will eventually come out. I have a few tips that might help some younger men in relationships. Yes, this is why I've told you guys many times before. Guys jump into relationships way too quick, okay? And that's wrong for a lot of reasons, but in particular because it could take a while to see her true colors. It could take at least 3, 4, 5 months for her true colors to come out, and sometimes even longer, because women can hide it. They are masters at hiding it. And you need to be with her for a lot of situations and scenarios to see how she reacts and responds. Does she act like a nutcase, or does she act like a calm, easygoing individual and handles things like a mature adult? Okay? Takes time for those things. So many guys rush into things. So here are a few of his situations throughout the years. You guys are going to get a kick out of this. He says, one weekend, my girlfriend came over. And he says in parentheses, she had her own place. She sat down. After a while, she started bitching. She was going on and on. I firmly told her to get out. I told her she's a guest in my house, and I'm not going to put up with her bad behavior. Take your stuff and get out. This immediately put her on the defensive. She changed her tone. There was a bus stop down the street, and I told her again to get out. She left with her tail between her legs. She treated me with respect for weeks until her mental emotions came out again. She was gone soon after that. So she's over at his house. She's getting difficult. She's being bitchy, and he calls her on it, and eventually says, hey, get out. I'm not going to tolerate your disrespect and your bad behavior in my house. Out. How many guys do you think have the guts to do that nowadays? Your average guy, no way. Because he'd be afraid of upsetting her and then she'll break up with him and just tolerate her bad behavior. Guys, when women treat you with disrespect, well, anybody treats you with disrespect, you don't tolerate it. Otherwise, you are inviting more bad behavior. And I might add, Here come the sirens. And I might add that when women do that, sometimes they're testing you. They're testing you, testing your strength to see if you'll stand up to them. Because by and large, feminine women, I'm going to emphasize feminine women, or women more in touch with their feminine side, they want a guy that's going to be strong, that's going to be a leader, and is masculine. Now, a masculine guy that respects himself won't tolerate any bad behavior, disrespect at all. Weak guys, they will, because they figure they have to put up with it because they're fearful that they'll lose her. And what happens is then there'll be more testing and more disrespect. You see where I'm going with this, guys? How many of you guys have been in situations just like that? And then you lay down the law, and then they behave themselves for a little while, and then down the road, they'll test again to see, are you still that same strong guy? It's ridiculous. It's childlike. I mean, for those of you that have been around children, small children, or have small children, you know. Kids are always testing the boundaries with the parents or adults. Always. And then you lay down the law, they stop testing, but after a while, they'll do it again. There's a lot of similarities. A lot of women don't like being compared to children, but in so many ways, their behavior can get that way, especially when emotions kick in. I didn't make women, guys. Okay, I'm not justifying their actions. I'm just explaining how it is. Okay, it's the ugly truth. On to the next situation. He says, different girl. She started bitching, and I told her to get out. She said she's not leaving. I called the police and said I have a trespasser on my property. The police came and escorted her out. She treated me with respect for a while. She was gone soon after that. So this one was causing him so much disrespect. He told her to leave. She wouldn't leave. He called the cops. Cops took her out of there. And after that, she treated him with respect until she stopped. And then eventually that was that. On to another girlfriend. He says, another girl, she started bitching. I said, what time is it? I showed her my watch and it said 3 o'clock. He said, I'm not sure of the actual time. I said, go on. She started bitching. After half an hour, I said, now you've been bitching for 30 minutes now, and I try to be sensitive to your needs and desires, but I don't want to hear any more bitching, so you effing shut up. I screamed effing shut up in her face. She didn't speak for at least 4 to 5 days. It was the best time of our relationship. She was gone soon after that. Now at this point you might think, how is he attracting these women into his life that are constantly behaving in this manner? Well, I got news for you guys. For those of you who aren't as experienced, sooner or later, they're going to start being difficult and being disrespectful, especially if they're not getting their way with you. Now, it sounds like these all came from his 30s and 40s, and he said that all of them wanted to settle down and have him propose or get engaged or whatever, and obviously he wasn't, because he knew darn well even back then it was a bad idea getting married. So obviously there was some drama and bitching, and like he was describing, so I'm guessing that probably what was going on. But he doesn't tolerate it, and eventually when it gets to be too much, on to the next one. He says, another girl. She started bitching, going on and on. He says, I don't listen. After about 30 minutes, she said, we're going out for 9 months, and we are not married yet. Why aren't we married? We should be married. I said very logically, you just told me for the last half an hour how horrible I was. Why would you want to marry such a horrible guy? What is wrong with you? You must be insane. She was silent. I convinced her to question her own sanity. Right. The bitching, complaining about how the guy, he treats her so badly, and this, and this, and the guy's insensitive, blah, blah, blah. And yet they want you to marry him, right? Or have a deeper commitment. He says, after a minute, I said, what makes you think I want to marry a woman that bitches at me and puts me down all the time? Do you think I want to put up with that for the rest of my life? I said, no. I want a woman to be my partner and have respect and love for me. You have no love for me. I will never marry you. She was gone soon after. Good for this guy. This guy doesn't take any crap. Like he said, girlfriends are good for about a year or so, and obviously it runs its course, so they start trying to press you to a commitment. Guys, eventually they're all going to press you for a commitment. Unless you have a rare woman that probably has been married once or twice and it didn't go well, and now she just wants to simply have what's the word? I get a serial monogamous, so to speak. Then they're all going to want to eventually get a commitment sooner or later. And at that point, then for you relationship guys, either you're going to get drama like this, and you cut them loose, or you cave. If you cave, you know how that's going to end. He says here, women are like emotional children. I took an early retirement from my high-tech job years ago, and I have a great life with good, educated, and successful friends. Awesome. This is the life I want all you guys to have. You got money, you got freedom, you got great friends, you're healthy, you're in shape, and you do whatever you want, and you don't tolerate crap from anybody. Like I said, this guy's old school, and this is awesome. He says, I now have a girlfriend, and she has her own house and her own money. She treats me well. When she comes over for the weekend, she buys me beer, then cooks and cleans my house. I finally found a good woman, and she's good looking too, but I'll never marry. Very smart. She knows that and accepts it because she loves me. Right, she knows she doesn't want to lose this guy, so either she goes along with this, or she's toast. And mark my words, this guy's 64 years old, and I guarantee you he'll handle her in the same exact way as the other girlfriends over the years, which I read earlier. This guy does not cave. This guy is consistent and congruent in who he is and his views, and it's not going to change for anybody, let alone any woman. He says, years ago, my mother would say, why don't you marry this girl or that one? I told her I will never get married, and I don't want some B-word taking half my money. I can go to an escort a few times a week for the rest of my life, and it wouldn't cost half my house and my money. My mom laughed. I didn't need an escort. Getting girlfriends was easy for me. I hope some of this info may help some younger men dealing with women. Don't put up with them. Put them on the defensive and make them question themselves. Use your logic. They have none. P.S. I love you, SSM, and your channel. Well, thanks, bro. That was a great story, and that is awesome to hear. This is an example of how guys ought to be. Okay? This guy, obviously, he's done well for himself in life. He's kept himself in good shape and healthy. He's got good friends, successful guys, educated guys, the kind of friends you want to have around in your circle. And this guy never caved. Okay, he had girlfriends, and once they became too difficult, he called them on their crap, and they became more difficult. He told them to leave, just like you saw in the different stories. Sometimes he even had the cops to take him away, but this guy didn't take crap from anybody. This is a masculine guy. This is a high-value guy. Look at his life. This guy's obviously happy, and now he's got a girlfriend that he's having a good time with, all that, and she's not pressuring him yet. But obviously, I guarantee you that if she started in some of the crap that happened on when he was younger, same thing would happen. Out of there. Next, and he'd find a new girlfriend. Okay? So for you guys that are watching this now, remember, you don't tolerate disrespect. Okay? This does not mean you got to be a jerk and mean and hurtful and all that. But you simply lay down the law whenever any disrespect is going on. And if they push, they won't leave your house, they're getting in your face, being really nasty, out and move on. Because if you're again, this goes for your relationship, guys. If you're a guy that takes care of yourself and you got a lot of things going for you, there is always unlimited options to replace the one that you just kicked out. But keep in mind, like I said about the testing will always happen. They're always going to test your strength. Now, these tests can be small, little tests to test your confidence or things like that, or they can be bigger tests. And the more she sees you as maybe might perceive, that's a better word. She may perceive you, if she perceives you as being weak, the tests are going to be bigger, more frequent. If she perceives you as being strong and masculine, higher value, the tests will be infrequent. However, if you start behaving in a way that she perceives as being weak or lack of confidence, or you're putting her on a pedestal, mark my words, the tests will increase and they'll get bigger. So you're always putting across that masculine frame, that masculine presence, not tolerating crap from anybody. But anyhow, this again is for you relationship guys. For a lot of you guys that watch this that are done completely with women, it doesn't matter to you. But in fact, this may just reinforce these situations and scenarios you went through, why you don't do it. And I got all sorts of followers that watch me that have different views and handle their lives in their own way. And do what's best for you. But anyhow, great email. Thank you, bro. I really appreciate that and appreciate the support. You definitely, this old school, this should help maybe at least a few guys out somewhere around the world and maybe handling these situations in a bad way. Thank you. So, all right, guys, that's it for today. Be sure to comment down below. Let me know what you think about this. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.